Welcome to Agritabi channel. Hope you enjoy your contents and thumb up, subscribe, and share your friends.
Hey there, curious minds, and welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we, take a stack of information and really try to unearth what matters for you. And today, we have quite a story. It's about vision, yes, but also transformation. We're talking about how one person really reshaped, an entire nation's agricultural future, specifically Taiwan's. Yeah, we've got some fascinating source material today, excerpts from The Architect of Taiwan's Leisure Agriculture. It's a biographical novel about a Dr. Chu Young-chung. Our mission, really, is to figure out how this remarkable individual didn't just, save an industry, but actually pioneered a completely new way of living, of interacting with nature. You're going to hear about a real visionary.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how Dr. Chu emerges during this critical period for Taiwan. Traditional agriculture was really struggling. It was in decline. But he didn't just propose like minor tweaks or adjustments. He completely reimagined the role of agriculture itself.
Yeah.
Saw it through this a multifaceted lens that honestly not many others did at the time.
Okay, let's unpack that. So, picture Taiwan, maybe the 1970s.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that era.
The Industrial Revolution, farming is struggling to keep up. It sounds like a really challenging time for agriculture.
A very challenging time, a genuine crisis point for many rural communities.
But right in the middle of all that uncertainty, a new idea starts to, bloom. And this is where Dr. Chu Young-chung comes in. He's often called the first person in Taiwan's leisure agriculture. Why? Well, apparently because he had this really deep connection to the land right from his childhood. Grew up surrounded by Taiwan's rural beauty.
That personal background is definitely foundational. You can feel it in his work. But it was his academic rigor, too, that set him apart. At National Taiwan University, he didn't just study farming. He immersed himself in agricultural science, yes, but also economics and sociology. It gave him this holistic understanding, you see, going way beyond just planting and harvesting techniques.
Okay, so he had the theory. And then it gets really interesting when he starts working for, the Joint Commission on Rural Reconstruction?
Yes, which later became the Council of Agriculture, a key institution.
So he's out there on the ground, seeing the farmers' struggles up close. But he's also noticing something else. City folks craving an escape, a connection back to nature.
Precisely. He saw both sides of the coin, the rural crisis and this emerging urban need.
So what does that lead to? How do you solve one with the other?
Well, that's the core question he tackled. How do you solve a crisis while also meeting this unmet societal desire? Dr. Chu saw what he called the historical inevitability of leisure agriculture. He really connected the dots.
Connected the dots between what, specifically?
Between things like rising national income, the introduction of the two-day weekend, which was a big deal back then.
Right. More free time.
Exactly. More free time and people's growing desire for health, for maybe a return to simpler living. He envisioned leisure agriculture as this powerful solution. It could create new income streams for farmers, obviously, but also revitalize rural economies, preserve local culture, and tackle those three rural issues.
The three rural issues, remind us.
The interconnected problems facing the farmers themselves, the agricultural sector as a whole, and the rural areas, the communities.
Got it. So it was a really comprehensive vision.
Hugely comprehensive, especially for that era. Very forward-thinking.
So, okay, this wasn't just a hunch or a gut feeling then. Dr. Chu actually built a solid theoretical foundation for all this. He started by challenging the basic idea that agriculture is only about producing food. He called it agricultural multifunctionality.
Yes, multifunctionality. That's a key concept. He argued agriculture does way more than just grow crops or raise animals. It serves political functions, educational functions, social functions too.
How so? Like, what are the political or social functions of a farm?
Well, think about it. Farms provide ecological conservation, right? They protect landscapes. They safeguard cultural heritage, traditions tied to the land. They can offer really valuable educational experiences, especially for city kids. Right. And even provide social services in some contexts.
Okay, I see. It's much broader than just what ends up on the dinner table.
Exactly. And this concept, multifunctionality, it allowed agriculture to logically integrate with tourism, with culture, with education. It maximized its total value to society.
And then he introduced another concept, three-dimensional benefits cognition. Sounds a bit technical.
It does sound technical, but the idea behind it is actually pretty straightforward and really powerful. It's about balance.
Balance between
Economic benefits, social benefits, and ecological benefits. Three dimensions. Sure, economic profit is important for the farmers, for the business, but not if it destroys the environment or harms the local community.
So sustainability in the truest sense.
Precisely. He believed real leisure agriculture comes from like a deep wisdom, respecting nature, being practical, not opportunistic, observing the world, even the small details. That balance is absolutely key for sustainable development in rural areas.
And he didn't just stop at the big picture theory. He got practical too, right? I read about his 5 A's, like a checklist for farmers.
That's right, the 5 A's,
Yeah.
a very practical framework. He said for a leisure farm to really succeed, it needs these 5 things. First, attraction. Something compelling to draw people in. Natural beauty, unique crops, animals.
Okay, makes sense. What else?
Engaging activities, things for visitors to actually do. Participate, learn, experience, not just look.
Right, hands-on stuff.
Then comfortable amenities.
Yeah.
Good facilities, clean restrooms, places to rest. Basic comforts matter. Easy access. People need to be able to get there without too much hassle. Roads, signage, maybe transport links.
Crucial. And the last one.
Suitable accommodation. If you want people to stay longer, maybe overnight or for a weekend, you need pleasant places for them to stay.
Attraction, activities, amenities, access, accommodation. The 5 A's, that's a really useful guide.
It served as a compass, really, for planning, for marketing, for making sure you're meeting visitor expectations.
And he pulled all this thinking together in a book, didn't he? Leisure Agriculture Economics in 2002. Sounds like it became quite influential.
Oh, absolutely. A landmark publication. It laid out his theories systematically and traced the history in Taiwan back to even the 1970s tourist orchards. It's still a key reference.
So Dr. Chu had the vision, he had the theory, he even had practical guides. But he didn't just stay in academia, did he? He pushed this into policy.
That's right. He wasn't content just writing papers. He actively worked to translate these ideas into government action. He moved up the ranks of the agricultural agencies from being a technician early on right up to being a counselor. He saw those government roles as platforms for real change.
How effective was he at getting leisure agriculture into, national strategies?
Remarkably effective. He had this deep understanding of Taiwan's agricultural history, the context. He argued for things like land reform, not just for output, but to really energize the farmers. And he constantly emphasized developing people, human resources, and building the right institutions to foster innovation. He wasn't thinking short-term fixes. He was building for the long haul.
And he was a big proponent of sustainable rural development, looking beyond just how many tons of rice were produced.
Yes, beyond pure production metrics. He wanted to include culture, humanity, the environment. He pushed for policies that would create rural areas that weren't just productive, but also, culturally rich, socially stable, and ecologically healthy. Beautiful places to live and visit.
Which brings up a really important question. How do you actually convince traditional farmers, people whose families have farmed the same way for generations, to suddenly embrace this completely different model? That sounds like a huge hurdle.
It was the core challenge, absolutely. Farmers are inherently practical people, right? Their livelihoods depend on what works. Abstract theories about multifunctionality or three-dimensional benefits, well, they don't pay the bills immediately.
Not directly.
Dr. Chu understood that. You couldn't just lecture them. You had to demonstrate a viable alternative. You had to show them how their existing assets, their land, their animals, their skills, their local knowledge, could actually be leveraged in new ways. Ways that could secure their future, maybe even a better future.
So show, don't just tell.
Exactly. Policy could create the space, the incentives. But real change needed successful examples on the ground. Proof that this different path wasn't just a pipe dream, but could actually be profitable and, maybe just as importantly, enriching.
Okay, so let's talk about one of those examples, because this is where it gets really interesting, right? The transformation of the Fei New Ranch, the Flying Cow Ranch.
Ah, yes, Fei New, a classic case study. It really exemplifies his approach in action.
So, set the scene for us. Taiwan's dairy industry was in trouble.
Big trouble. Facing a crisis, actually.
Right.
Milk prices, competition. Many dairy farms were failing. And Fei New Ranch was one of them. The owners were, frankly, desperate.
And Dr. Chu gets involved.
He stepped in at that critical moment. He guided the owners. He helped them see their farm differently, not just as a place to produce milk. He saw their cows, their pastures, their whole setup, not just as production units, but as what he called agricultural resources.
Resources that could be used differently.
Precisely. Resources that, if combined with the right activities, one of his 5 A's, remember, could create completely new opportunities. tourism, education, experiences.
So what did this transformation, this metamorphosis, as the source calls it, actually look like at Fei-Niu? What did they do?
Well, they underwent a complete shift. They stopped being solely focused on maximizing milk output. They became a comprehensive leisure farm. Dr. Chiu helped them see the potential in their sort of unique rural atmosphere. The natural setting itself was an asset, and the potential for education.
Education like? Learning about cows.
Exactly. They designed all sorts of engaging experiences. Visitors could actually try hand milking a cow. They could feed the calves. They could even learn to make their own dairy products like butter or ice cream.
Wow, that sounds really hands-on, connecting people directly to where their food comes from.
And that was the key, that direct connection. And they diversified, too. They didn't just rely on entry fees. They developed various dairy products to sell milk, yogurt, cheese, but also other cultural and creative items linked to the farm experience.
Was it an immediate success, or were people skeptical at first?
Oh, there was definitely skepticism initially. It was a radical departure.
Yeah.
But Dr. Chu's vision was clear. And crucially, the owners had the perseverance to stick with it. And it paid off. Big time. Fei-Niu Ranch became, almost overnight, a benchmark for what leisure agriculture could be in Taiwan.
So lots of visitors.
Attracted countless families, school groups. It became a must-visit destination. And this very visible, very concrete success story did exactly what Dr. Chu hoped. It powerfully demonstrated his core belief. Combine your agricultural resources with well-planned activities, and you can create something amazing. It inspired so many other farmers across Taiwan to explore similar paths.
That's a fantastic example. It really shows the practical application of his ideas. And his influence wasn't just about the business model, was it? It extended to his philosophy of innovation, too. He talked about creativity as value innovation.
Yes. He saw innovation as more than just dreaming up something totally new out of thin air. For him, it was this blend of passion and logic. It had to be deeply rooted in the operator's own unique approach, their connection to the place. He wanted farms to move beyond selling just a product.
Towards selling?
An experience, a lifestyle even. He talked about turning it into a lifestyle competition, offering something distinctive that people want to be part of, not just consume.
That ties into his management philosophy, too, right? The 3 S's?
It does. Sincerity, simplicity, and sagacity.
Sincerity, simplicity, sagacity. What did he mean by those?
He saw these not as business school buzzwords, but as qualities that were almost inherent in good farmers, honed by their deep connection with nature. Sincerity being genuine, honest, offering real hospitality. Simplicity, a practical, down-to-earth approach, not being greedy or opportunistic. And sagacity, that sort of deep wisdom you get from closely observing life. The land, the seasons, the small details.
So like soft skills derived from farming itself.
Exactly. He believed these qualities were vital for building trust with visitors. You can't fake that kind of authenticity for long. It's crucial for providing genuine service that keeps people coming back.
He even had a unique take on marketing, using this funny analogy, begging for business.
Ah, yes. It sounds a bit strange, but it was a clever way to make a point. He was saying farms couldn't just sit back passively and wait for customers to show up.
They had to be proactive.
Very proactive. They needed to actively build their brand, figure out what made them unique, and communicate that. Differentiate themselves, set smart prices that reflected their value, and crucially, earn those word-of-mouth recommendations. They had to, in his words, actively beg for the customer's favor by offering unique charm and truly sincere service. Not literally begging, of course, but actively pursuing customer loyalty.
It's a memorable way to put it. So when we look back at everything, his theories, his policy work, the practical examples like Fei-Niu, how do we sum up Dr. Chu's legacy?
Well, his body of work, especially leisure agriculture economics and his many presentations and reports, provided this incredibly solid foundation, both theoretical and practical. It wasn't just invaluable for Taiwan's own development, it became, and still is, a really valuable reference point for other countries looking to develop rural tourism or revitalize their agricultural sectors. Someone coined the term his green footprint. It metaphorically represents the seeds of his ideas that he planted all across Taiwan. And those seeds continue to grow, to flourish. His philosophy is deeply imprinted on the nation's approach to agriculture now.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it really strikes me that Dr. Tu Yongcheng was, well, so much more than just an academic or a government official. He was truly a visionary, wasn't he? A dreamer whose passion literally changed the landscape and the future of an entire industry in Taiwan. His green footsteps seem like a very fitting image.
Absolutely. And his unwavering focus on those three-dimensional benefits, balancing the economic, the social, and the ecological that fundamentally reshaped how Taiwan thinks about agriculture. It's not just about production quotas anymore. It's understood to be about culture, about the environment, about education, about community well-being, even about healing, in a way. His green harmony idea.
Green harmony. I like that. He didn't just come up with grand ideas and walk away. He nurtured them. He guided people like the owners of Fei Ranch. He saw potential where almost everyone else saw decline and decay. And Taiwan's vibrant leisure agriculture scene today, all those diverse farms drawing people out from the cities, it feels like a direct, living testament to his decades of work.
It truly is. His story is one of this incredible, unwavering belief in the potential of the land and, just as importantly, its people. He proved that with the right vision, with innovation, and a lot of persistence, traditional industries don't just have to survive in the modern world. They can adapt, they can thrive, and they can create a genuinely sustainable future. He really offered a path to renewed value and dignity for so many farmers.
And that leaves us, and you, the listener, with a pretty powerful thought, doesn't it? If one person's deep-seated vision could so profoundly transform an entire nation's relationship with its land and its agriculture, what unseen potential might be lying dormant within the challenges you face? What situations in your own world might just be waiting for a fresh perspective? For a little bit of that audacious creativity Dr. Chu showed, how could your passion for something that seems maybe ordinary, even declining, spark an extraordinary transformation? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us on this really fascinating deep dive today. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and perhaps a new appreciation for the incredible power of visionary thinking and persistence. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.